What is up, y'all? Joystick Pepsi, and I'm a Last of Us YouTuber. Occasionally I'll branch out and I'll do other stuff, but for the most part, Naughty Dog and Last of Us coverage is really my main focus of content. However, I did take an almost 2-year break from YouTube, and there's a couple of reasons to why. One, I went off to college and I'm a small YouTuber, so this is a hobby for me and I just didn't have the time. But also, the cancellation of The Last of Us Online. For a tacked-on multiplayer mode that was an afterthought that was revamped from a horde co-op mode to a simpler 4v4 PvP, Factions is my favorite multiplayer game of all time. For years, well before they even announced The Last of Us Part 2, I had dreamt of a new iteration of Factions. When they revealed the gameplay for Part 2 at E3 in 2018, we got verbal confirmation that Factions would be back in Part 2. However, Naughty Dog then came out and said, nope, no Factions in Part 2. But Factions is still coming in a standalone Last of Us experience that will be like nothing we've ever played before. So for 3 years after that, we waited. We waited at every Game Award, we waited at every PlayStation Showcase, every Last of Us Day, we waited. And every time, Naughty Dog essentially hit us with, we're working on it. And then, last year, I and the rest of the Factions community was absolutely gutted when Naughty Dog officially canceled The Last of Us Online. And just like that, it was over. 10 years down the drain, without having ever even shown us any of the game. Apart from 2 concept art photos, The Last of Us Online was over before it even had a chance to begin. What we do know about the game is that it was essentially going to be an extremely ambitious project, being a live service game that would have probably had a traditional battle pass and season-based content. There was a rumored battle royale. It's safe to assume that supply rate or something similar to that was going to be returning, and they even said they were crafting story elements on top of the multiplayer. In my opinion, I think The Last of Us Online is one of Naughty Dog's biggest failures. Sure, The Last of Us 2 was very controversial, but still financially successful and loved by the critics, but this was just a total miss. My biggest issue with this is how it all went down. No one asked for a live service game. There is an alternative timeline where Naughty Dog gave us exactly what we wanted. Factions from the first game, essentially building off of the same foundation, keeping it simple with 4v4 PvP, and maybe the addition of co-op modes with Infected. But live service? No one asked you to try and make a game that for some reason would require all of Naughty Dog's resources for years. I appreciate the ambition, especially for an IP like The Last of Us. They clearly didn't want to take it safe, and they were hoping to deliver something very special, but the result of this misjudgment is that The Last of Us Factions community has nothing. So what's next? Personally, I think the best chance we have of seeing Factions is in The Last of Us Part 3. Naughty Dog, please, we don't need a live service game. Just keep Factions as Factions. Give us maps from the 3rd game with the same awesome gameplay, PvP, and maybe some co-op, but we don't need anything crazy. However, all this heartbreak, all this loss, does not change the fact that the first Factions is still here, and it is incredible. And to be honest, who knows when they'll even shut these servers down? This game is over 10 years old. All I do know is that while we have Factions, I'm going to enjoy it for as long as we can. Thank y'all, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.